Hey guys, welcome to another video, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing a process video of this coffee cup painting with pan pastels and coloured pencils, but the most important thing about this video for me is I just want to have a chat with you, my lovely arty friends. I'm feeling a bit down today, I'm not gonna lie, and I have put this video off a little bit too long. That's why it's so late coming out this week. And yeah, I'm just not really feeling it, and I'm not exactly feeling inspired by the painting. So quick disclaimer, I suppose. I do really like how it came out still, but at the time I loved the pan pastels and I was really enjoying the medium when I actually did paint this, but now I am enjoying a much more mixed media and sketchbook approach to my art, but I still liked this footage and I still wanted to share it with you, so here goes. What I'm hoping is that this will be a test of just showing up, and hopefully it will make me feel a little bit better. Nothing's wrong or anything like that, like everything's fine. You just go through these down days sometimes, don't you? And people around you can make you feel a little bit down sometimes, and yeah, so I won't get too much into it, but it's going to be nice to just sit here and virtually talk to you guys, whoever may be watching. My name is Amber, and I think I would now class myself as a mixed media artist, and I'm just experimenting with everything, to be honest. And here I am playing with pan pastels on my pastel mat. If you watched my last video, you will have heard me rave on and on and on about Pastelmat, and it is my favourite paper for the pan pastels, and it did used to be my favourite paper for just coloured pencils as well, but these days I'm feeling a little bit more like I enjoy a smoother paper much more than this really textured surface. But the surface of Pastelmat is like nothing I've ever really seen before. It's like a mixture between a sanded paper and like a velour that kind of paper, and so it's almost like velvety, and I just love the way the pastels cling to it. You can see what I'm doing with this background right now, that the pastels just sort of sink into the paper and it can hold loads and loads of layers, and I really like that. In my last video I used the Canson Me Tense Touch paper, and that's more of a sanded surface, and I didn't like how the pastel sort of sat on top of that rather than sinking right into the paper. So you could almost say the Pastelmat is like more spongy. This is also my favourite colour of the Pastelmat to work on as well. When I used to do the pet portraits, all my commissions, I mostly used this paper if I could, especially if I was doing like a golden retriever or a creamy coloured dog. I always loved how the fur and the colours in the fur came out on this paper, on this colour. I think it's the wine colour, or maybe burgundy they call it, but yeah, it's lovely. I also love how it just holds so many layers. You can go on with your pan pastels and then go back on top with coloured pencils and then layer over with pan pastels again. So like it just holds so many layers, and you kind of feel like the possibilities are endless with it. You know, if you mess up, it's quite easy to cover up your mistakes and layer over it, and it just works, you know. It always worked for me, and that's why I love this paper. When I did the commissions and pet portraits, this was the combo that I just used all of the time. So that's the Pastelmat, the pan pastels and coloured pencils. And then when I stopped doing the commissions, I didn't touch this combo for a really long time, and then this was only the second portrait I've done in a few years, I think. Well, this is not a portrait, I suppose, but you could call it a painting or drawing. Yeah, this is the second drawing that I've done with this combo for a while, and it was really nice to come back to it, but it just reminded me how easy it is for me to get stuck in the details of things, and I really tried to be a much more looser with this, and I thought I enjoyed it, and I suppose I did, but I haven't rushed back to creating another pan pastel coloured pencil picture since doing this. Really, I did start on a cat that I was enjoying, but it reminded me why I stopped doing the commissions, just because I get stuck in so much detail. And I once called it the curse of realism on a podcast that I hosted once, and it caused quite the controversy with the realism art community. And that was not really my intention, but I knew it might cause some controversy. But the truth is, I just don't enjoy detailed art anymore, really. And when I create really detailed, like, I wouldn't say detailed, I suppose we should call it like highly realistic art. So when I create that kind of art anymore, it makes me more angry than happy, because it just feels like I'm not putting any soul or any of myself into a picture. And so I just don't think of it as like a creative practice for myself, more just like a chore. I don't know if there's anybody watching this that might do realistic art and you feel totally different, then just comment below and let me know how you feel about it, because I'm so interested in like everybody's different opinion on art. And I know that art is art and there's no rules, and you can literally do whatever you want and whatever makes you happy. I'm just talking about what makes me happy and like my journey as an artist and all of my struggles. And I suppose what I mean about the curse of realism is I am an artist who doesn't want to be a realistic artist. Sorry, I'm choking now. I am an artist who doesn't want to be a realistic artist anymore, and everything I learned was based on realism, and I didn't even learn to draw. I just traced everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me say as well, there's nothing wrong with tracing. I still trace sometimes, but I want to be an artist who can draw and sketch freely and sort of just draw and sketch whatever I want, whenever I want, without having to print out and then trace it onto the surface and then draw and copy a reference photo exactly, colour for colour and like line for line, exactly how it is in the reference photo. And I learned how to be an artist by doing that, and it just really wasn't fulfilling for me. And so now that I'm trying to loosen up a little bit and experiment with art and just learn to draw, I suppose, I'm finding it really difficult. I feel like I haven't done realistic art for a few years now, and I really, really love what I see like on Instagram and that, with people who do just art that is full of essence and colour, and it literally takes them about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even like 30 minutes sometimes, to do these paintings. And I just feel like they're so full of movement and happiness, and that's what I want for my art. But I still struggle so much to let go of the details in the reference photos that I'm looking at. Does this make sense? I'm definitely rambling on again. So what I'm learning so far in my journey to be a more free and expressive artist is to look at the values and the shapes in my reference photos instead of just the details. And I'm finding it really helpful to time myself as well recently. I think a lot of people say that when you're trying to loosen up, it's good to time yourself, because then it forces you to look at the bigger shapes and to get the biggest shapes of colour down first. And then if you want to go on top and add some details after, you can do. But yeah, I don't think the coloured pencils help as well. It seems that most coloured pencil artists I know are realistic artists, but that might just be because I've surrounded myself by realistic artists. But coloured pencils have such a tiny little tip that you use to create. It's really easy to just focus on tiny areas and tiny details, and that definitely contributed to my curse of realism. But now I'm trying to use them in a much more looser way and just use like a few colours, and I am really excited for my future videos to share with you what I've been doing the past week or two in my sketchbook, because I have been using it totally different and timing my art and just trying to be a lot more expressive, and I have really enjoyed myself, and I go to bed a lot happier at night time than when I've spent 10 hours on a picture, which is near enough what I spent on this coffee cup, and I could have spent a lot longer. I had to force myself to stop in the end. When I started going on with the coloured pencils, it could have just gone on all day, especially with the reflections in the cup. When you start looking at reflections and things like that, then it's so easy to get caught up in the details. Another thing that I find really interesting about this subject is the fact that because I started off doing art through realism, I didn't learn anything at all about colour theory or the fundamentals or perspective, because I wasn't drawing it myself, or I wasn't thinking about which colours would look good here with each other, because I was just copying straight from a photo really. And I always added like little pinks and purples and like pops of blue into my art, but I never thought about it really, and I never exactly learned. I think I always had that intuitive feeling there for adding like bright colours into my art. But when I stepped away from the commissions and the realistic art, and I started learning about colour theory and just the fundamentals in art a little bit more, it has completely changed my world when it comes to it. And I actually feel just so fascinated by the way colour works, and shadows and light, and the way colour bounces off objects. And yeah, I just find it absolutely fascinating, and I never learned any of that for years while I was doing the realistic art. And you might do, if you do realistic art, you might think about the colours a little bit more. This is just my experience, so I feel like I'm making a whole another episode of the curse of realism, and I don't want people to come for me. I also am not actually that interested in like the fundamentals or perspective. I am interested in it and I want to learn it because I know it's going to help me, but I want to focus on the colour more. That is the most important thing to me, the colour wheel and colour harmonies and how I can push and pull colours. And I've just started a new prompt list on my Instagram. It's the prompt list for March, and it's a colour palette, so it's a different colour. I think I chose 8 colours, and so each prompt is a different colour, and I'm going to use that to help me push my colours and knowledge of colour and which colours work well together, etc. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. So that is something that I'm working on at the moment, and I am working on that prompt list in my sketchbook, my art creation sketchbook, which is my new favourite thing ever, and I can't wait to share more about that with you. I think when you start trying to be more impressionistic and expressive with your art, you actually have to focus on the colour and the values a little bit more, mostly the values really, because that is how you're going to get the correct impression of what you're trying to draw or paint, if you know what I mean. So by doing the looser art, it almost forces you to learn this stuff. And believe me, I was not interested in like the fundamentals, the perspective, colour theory. I thought colour theory was like the most boring thing ever, but now I'm just completely obsessed. Do you know what's funny? I was feeling down when I first started this video, and now I feel like I've had a conversation with you guys. Even though you're not here with me, I feel so much better. So I hope I haven't put a downer on your day by my choice of topic today, but I don't plan these voiceovers. I just pretty much sit down and get ready to chat. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed the artwork. You can see that I did try to loosen up and I decided to just leave it in the end. I wanted to create like a bit of an atmosphere behind the coffee cup, and I do think I achieved that. I quite like this one. It's nice and colourful, and as I say, that is all that matters to me. But yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed it. So I shall be leaving you now. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you're not subscribed and you want to see more from me. And yeah, so I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.